Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Crimson Vegas with another Let's Play. This time, Endless Legend, once again. But this time it is going to be mods, and this will include all the expansions, and it will be in multiplayer. So there's a bunch of things happening in this playthrough. It is going to be multiplayer, mods, and all the DLC included. So I've never done this before. This is going to be a unique experience, and I'm going to be playing with GameJar and ShadowAlex. Who are also known as Jaden and James, respectively. I suppose, these are the real names. So we're going to be playing together here, multiplayer. There's going to be a lot of shenanigans, a lot of discussions, tangents, and non sequiturs here and there. So I might actually edit some parts out. I'm going to try to make sure that the playthrough is going to be as streamlined as possible, because, you know, in multiplayer, one of the problems that happens is that there's going to be a lot of sort of bantering and waiting around where, you know, one player is completing his turn, and so the other two have to wait, etc. Sometimes we're sort of waiting for each other, and these waiting times, I'm going to try my best to actually cut them down in order to make sure that the entire playthrough is as eventful as possible in terms of the final recording, the final video. What are the expansions we have included? Well, I have pretty much, I think, all of them. I'm not sure. There might be another one, like the deluxe edition or something, but these are the ones that really matter. The Frozen Fangs, it's not really important, I suppose. It does add the Song of Ice, or Only Ice, or something like that. Yeah, more movement speed during winter, and the Gilder's minor faction. Not very important, I suppose, but kind of interesting. And the minor faction is pretty cool, though. The Guardians, which adds a bunch of... it adds the Guardians themselves, which are like massive elite units that can really turn the tide of battle and pretty much finish the war on in your favor. And of course, they're very expensive to build, and they have their own quests. And this expansion also adds its own set of global events, quests, and legendary deeds, legendary buildings, which sort of requires some competition as well as interaction between the players. So there's a lot of more sort of cooperative things happening here. Shadows, which adds the espionage system, spying, infiltration, pillaging, as well as this forgotten faction, and they really rely a lot on the spying, infiltration stuff, which I'm not very good at, to be honest. Of course, GameJar is going to be playing I think a faction that is based on the Shadows. I think it's going to be like a combination of Necrophages and Shadows. I'm not exactly sure what he's going to be playing, but yeah, he is going to be doing a lot of spying, especially in the late game, and he's going to be giving me a huge headache later on. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of banter and sort of competitive sort of back and forth dialogue between us. It's going to be a lot of fun, by the way. And by the way, I'm sure you probably have noticed we've already recorded a huge portion of the playthrough. This is sort of a post-recording introduction that I'm going to do, and I'm going to add this later. So it's like I'm already familiar with most of the playthrough, but I don't want to spoil anything. I will be trying to sort of cut out all these banters that are sort of unimportant. Anyways. Shifters, and this is by far my favorite expansion so far. It does add a lot of new winter effects. The Altar of Auriga, the Pearls and the Blessings are by far my favorite things, because they allow you to build a bunch of new buildings and upgrades, which will be unlocked using the Pearls and will be built using the Pearls, and they will be made available to you with each successive winter. So they're going to be made available to you, all of them, like within the first 3 winters or something. So like by turn 80 or some sort, I think turn 80 or 90, I'm not sure, depending on how long the summers are, you will be able to unlock pretty much all these pearl bonuses and blessings, And of course the Shifters faction, which I'm not going to be playing. I'm actually not going to be playing either of those, neither the Shadows nor the Shifters. I'm going to be playing a completely different concept, but I will be interacting a lot with the Pearl mechanic. It's actually, again, one of my favorite, and GameJar is going to be playing with the Shadows thing. So there we are. These are going to be the mods here. I mean the expansions. These are the mods I'm going to be playing. Let me just double check, just to show them to you. Oops. I'm not sure if the game froze. All right. So there's a bit of a anyway, bit of a delay. Auriga expanded. Now I'm gonna include a. Oops, I didn't want to remove it. Actually, I will include the links to these particular mods on Steam in the description below on this video here, in this introduction, so you can try them out for yourself and you can read all about them. Very extensive mods, I must say. The Auriga Expanded in particular, it adds a bunch of new things. I haven't tried them all. It does do a little bit of rebalancing here and there. it adds a bunch of new traits. It really allows you to sort of customize your faction and make some more extreme and broken things. Now, this is especially good for multiplayer, because if you're playing in single player against the AI is obviously, I mean, unless you create factions and allow the AI to play with them, which can be a bit tedious. But yeah, if you're playing in single player, you can pretty much, this is kind of overpowered, but in multiplayer it's pretty good because it allows sort of everyone to build their own overpowered factions. So overall, it is still a level playing field. And we did have some AI factions to play against, so overall, on high difficulty, so overall the challenge, it was actually quite challenging, and we're not very good players anyway. I mean, I don't consider myself an expert, and I'm pretty sure GameJar and ShadowAlex, I don't think they're particularly pros or anything. We're just sort of having fun and fooling around, goofing around with these weird mechanics. Traits unlocked, which allows you to use faction affinities. I mean, there's not a lot of potential for synergies, although I guess some factions synergize better than others. For example, the Broken Lords and the what are they called? The Broken Lords and the Roving Clans, for example, have a lot of synergy because they both require dust. You might argue that the Cultists and the, for example, the Drakkens can have a little bit of sort of synergy because they rely on a lot of, influence mechanics, influence-related stuff. The Ardent Mages actually synergize with pretty much everyone, the Ardent Mages in particular, because they have all these spells that they can use, these towers that they can summon, which can pretty much lead to any kind of victory you want. And they also, this mod also allows you to use the quests from all the factions. Yes, you can play as all faction quests simultaneously in one faction. So it's like, you're playing as the Necrophage, and you can have Roving Clan and Broken Lord faction quest spawning for you as well. Of course, you don't want to unlock them all simultaneously because there's gonna be a lot of conflict between them, and you're gonna have a hard time actually sort of finishing them because they're like all these quests will be spawning in the same ruins in the same city, minor faction villages, and it's going to be really difficult to control. But again, there's a lot of goofy things you can do with it. Now, and Unstacked, which is another cool one, it actually allows certain buildings to become districts rather than buildings inside the city. So we're trying to sort of make the city building a little bit faster and a little bit easier. So, for example, the Empire Mint is now its own district, and it has its own bonuses. I think it's pretty cool. It allows you to sort of grab more resources early on, and it's a lot of fun to use. Expanded Heroes, I haven't actually, I don't really understand the full scope of this particular mod, but it's, as the name indicates, it adds a bunch of new heroes, and each of them have their own classes and their own bonuses as well. It really revamps the entire hero system, while also maintaining the old heroes already present in the game. So yeah, these are by far the most extensive mods I've ever played for this game, and they really changed the whole thing. I mean, I gotta be honest, there's not much room for change as is for this game because it's really hard to code for things, but I gotta say, whoever did these mods, considering all the difficulties, they really did a good job so far. I'm very impressed with them. Now, the one particular mod that I'm not very happy with, or indeed very too enthusiastic about, is the World Generator. Now, GameJar insisted that I include this one because he was very curious. He wanted to try it out. Neither of us really understands how it works, but what it's supposed to do, it's supposed to create these really bizarre terrain features in the map. So, for example, you're going to have very high cliffs, very high sort of, very large regions, very small regions. It's basically going to make the exploration of Auriga a little bit more challenging, a little bit more interesting. It's going to make the world look more vibrant and unique and bizarre at the same time. So, unfortunately, we don't really understand the mechanics of it. There's a lot of sort of random number generators, as you will see later on when we start the game. Or rather, not random number generators. It's like more like sort of the numbers that are, or the figures, the parameters that we need to understand in order to actually generate the world. We don't really understand them very well. We don't know what these numbers mean. So hopefully they will make it. Yeah, I mean, if you move your mouse over it here, move your cursor over it. Yeah, there's a lot of text there. There's a lot of stuff that's going to be happening. A lot of variables that we need to understand. We don't know them. So if you have any ideas, any advice on how we can use this mod in particular, feel free to leave a comment. Maybe I should have actually read the description of the mod on the Steam page. But again, I was too lazy for that, and frankly, there's a lot of stuff I don't understand anyway. And I don't really care about the terrain anyway. I mean, the terrain of Auriga, the Endless Legend Vanilla is pretty variable as is. I don't really think we need to worry about all the cliffs and stuff. So, yeah, I just included this as a token trial, I suppose. Anyway, we're going to move back. So what's the faction are we going to be playing? Well, first of all, it's going to be a huge map, 8 players, 3 humans, obviously, and the others are going to be AI. Serious difficulty, normal pretty much. And yeah, of course, with the Advanced World Generator mod, there's going to be a bunch of new variables here that we can control. And yeah, I more than half of them are just very, very experimental, and I don't really understand what they mean, unless like you're an expert in mods and making mods and programming and coding and stuff like that. I mean, or have any kind of experience with these things, but I don't. So I'm just a consumer, to be honest. I'm just more of a sort of casual consumer of the game itself. I don't really understand how the coding and all these things work. It also adds a couple of colors, these mods. So yeah, I will be explaining the faction as the playthrough begins, but a brief description, I suppose, is in order. Well, it's going to be based on, it's going to be the sort of, the gimmick of my faction is going to be the diplomacy. It's basically going to be a faction that relies extensively on diplomatic mechanics. So, for example, you have things like Mercurial Diplomats, which was added in the Shifters expansion. Yeah, so there's a lot of sort of overlap between all the mods and all the expansions here. And the mod itself actually raises, I think Auriga Expanded raises the maximum points to 100, so you can add a bunch of stuff as well. It's going to be a very overpowered faction later on. It even adds a couple of negative traits, so you can add a bunch of new stuff as well, make a really broken one-sided faction. But it works very well. If you know exactly what you're doing, you can do some really cool things. So yeah. And there's also naive, so you're going to be forcing peace with other factions. This is the unique ability of the Drakkens. You're going to be forcing peace and alliance with the other factions, and immediately raising your approval, which will allow you to expand more. And by expanding more, you can grab more minor villages, so you can actually grow more with the food here provided by Culvi Herd, and everything synergizes together just wonderfully. And there's even increase in the market, so you can actually exert more diplomatic pressure on the enemies, and you can actually become immune to a market ban yourself. So a lot of cool things are going to be happening. I hope I'm not forgetting anything in the introduction here, so if you have any questions, any ideas, any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment. Even after the playthrough is over, don't hesitate, feel free to leave a comment. We're going to read it, we're going to take it into consideration, and eventually we might do something new, something cool, if anything new comes out eventually. And in fact, Endless Space 2 is going to come out soon at some point. I'm not sure how soon, but Amplitude Studios have indicated that it is currently in production, and it's even available. It has its own Steam page, in fact, so you can actually go and check it out over there. So there's going to be a lot of more interesting things happening as far as this developer goes. So yeah, and I'll see you soon with the playthrough. All right, bye bye. Hey everyone, greetings. This is Crimson Vegas with friends GameJar and ShadowAlex Gaming, I think her name is.
Yeah.
So we're
or just ShadowAlex.
Or just ShadowAlex. So we're going to be playing with a bunch of mods, and I'm going to leave their names in the description, as well as their links on Steam, so you can grab these mods. There's going to be a lot of fun. We're just creating the craziest factions we can think of, or we're going to smash a bunch of armies into each other in a huge multiplayer game here. So the idea is to create the craziest factions we can think of, combining all these amazing traits here. Everything has been opened up, including the affinities. A lot of new stuff has been added, and like diplomacy, a lot of factions has been reworked. This is basically the effects of traits unlocked mod and the what's it called, Auriga or something like that.
Auriga Expanded.
Auriga Expanded, which really adds a bunch of stuff. And you can choose a couple of custom units. Now, some of these are kind of broken, but the thing is, they are available to everyone. So really, everyone gains the benefit. So it's kind of like everyone is on the same level playing field, so it's not much of a big deal. So here are the traits I picked. Brace yourself, because it's fine. We can just add heroes in all these cities and we'll be fine. Brittle walls, which will reduce fortification, which is fine. I can actually afford that because we're going to be at peace most of the time, so it's not going to be a big deal. We're not afraid of sieges and all that stuff, especially when we're playing as the primal, these divine dragons based on the what do you call them, the Drakkens. So we're going to force peace all the time. It's just going to be like a diplomacy gimmick. Call the herd because we're going to be expanding quickly, so we might as well make use of all these extra villages and grow faster. Keys to the market, we can force people to hate us and still control the game as much as possible. Mercenary discomforts, we're not going to be relying on mercenaries too much. Mercurial diplomats, influence costs, very obvious because all these forced peace and stuff is going to add up eventually. It's going to be very expensive in terms of influence. Peace and prosperity, self-explanatory, well-connected, self-explanatory. Zealous fanaticism is something that was added here with the Auriga Auriga Unlimited, or whatever it was called. Plus 40% influence, minus 10% on everything else. That is actually a huge deal. All this influence, it's just perfect for this, for the gimmick we're playing here, the diplomacy gimmick. Diplomatic roots, dreams of glory, just expand faster, I suppose, and naive. Plus 8 per peace on cities, plus 8 per alliance. So if we're just forcing peace and forcing alliance on everyone, we're just going to be super happy and we can expand even faster. And finally, tactician for the extra movement, because you're going to be expanding so much, you can have so much provinces under your control, so you might as well make your units move faster just to defend everything as quickly as you can. In case you get like ninja attacked by someone who is trying to just conquer everything. So yeah, there we go. This is my faction, the Divine Dragons. Very charismatic, very sort of sparkly and dominant, so they can dominate people with their minds or whatever. I could just write a story if you want, but you get the idea. They're just really charismatic and they control everyone just by looking at them. It's just cool to play with. There we go. So what about you guys?
I was about to say.
I'm just about finished with mine. And
I already filled out.
I'll list mine off when I've started my recording.
I just turned mine on, but something that really annoys me is when I filled mine out, it's at 79, and I can't do anything about that.
Oh, really?
So make it bigger.
Yeah.
Let's make it bigger.
So your points, your custom faction points are stuck at 79. You can go higher.
Yeah, it's 79 to 80.
Well, in my case, it's all the way up to 100, I think, because of the mod.
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you boost that, then?
Maybe you should add the mod itself.
Oh, yeah. Give me a minute.
Yeah, you may have to subscribe for it.
Yeah, probably.
Hey, we're back. I already made my introduction, so you can go ahead if you want. And
hey guys, what is up? I am back, and this time with some more Endless Legend. It's been quite a while, so hope this is gonna be kind of fun. Haven't done an Endless Legend series yet, and yeah, with Crimson and ShadowAlex.
Hello.
So,
Hi.
it's gonna be pretty fun. Here we go.
We also all made custom factions, so I've got the Swarm Slashers, and then...
I'm playing as the Infected.
I'm playing as
he's
the
like
Divine.
zombie dudes.
Yeah. I'm gonna play as the Divine
basically
Dragons,
zombies.
which is like a... my faction is gonna be like a diplomacy gimmick. I'm gonna try to go for diplomacy victory if possible, and yeah.
And my dudes are Swarm Slashers. They're based off... If any of you have played StarCraft, you know they're basically based off the Zerg. They're focused on industry, so they make units fast, and they create large armies. So they're pretty much a rush sort of thing.
So you guys are gonna have very sort of rush-type aggressive factions, right?
Yeah,
Well, my
pretty
guys
much.
aren't so much rush as they are just like really fast production. We're all
I
thinking
also got the shapeshifters.
Oh, you got the Shifter's affinity as well?
Yeah, I only used 2 affinities. I didn't use all 3.
Mhm.
Yeah, we also made a pact for how overpowered our races can be.
Yeah, I can read them off to you guys. We did it so that you only have 2 extra quests, 3 extra affinities, and 6 extra units. Because we're using custom mods that let you change your affinities, your quests, your units. You can use minor faction units and major faction units and all that sorts of stuff.
So the mod basically allows you to add everything, and that would be just way over the top, and we kind of want to make it a bit more balanced, so
Yeah.
to speak. Yeah. Makes sense.
Because if we used every single trait, we'd all be the same.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, we each have our own play styles, but we each playing same style.
But for those of you who are new to this game, this is basically a Civilization-style game. Kind of.
It's a 4X, conquer the world sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a 4X game.
The X's are explore, exterminate, expand, and nobody knows what the fourth X is for.
It's a mystery!
The whole point of the title,
Yeah.
4X. Nobody knows what the fourth X is.
Explore, terminate.
Explorminate.
There we go, loading anomalies.
So the void became shape. That's what it says for me. Oh, and we also have all the DLC activated right now. We have Frozen Fangs, Guardians, Shadows, and Shifters.
Yep.
Sorry if I sound kind of funny, guys. I do have a slight cold and a stuffed nose, so hope it's not too bad.
One of the cool things about this game, guys, for those of you watching, is that if the guy who is hosting the game has all the DLC, it will be applied to everyone else. So that's actually pretty nice.
Yeah, so Crimson
see-
pretty much has the DLC. He's giving it to me and GameJar right now.
Yeah, since he's the host, it applies it to us automatically. So
And in fact, I think one of you mentioned it, is that later on you can continue the game by yourself. The DLC will still apply
yeah,
or
I
something.
can load his past games that we played together. Like he had started a game, and we'd only make it, and then I could load it myself and continue from there forever with the DLC.
Nice. It's like breaking the rules, except they're perfectly legal.